Hi there, and welcome to Strange Times Poetry Broadcast. I'm coming to you live from the Poetry Bookshelf to read you three uplifting poems to help us through these strange times. If you haven't watched this before, please like our Facebook page. We broadcast every night at 8 p.m., and I would love for you to join me. Um, so today we're going to be reading poems by Ray Armentrout, Daniele Antigua, and myself, and we're going to be talking about gifts of the surreal, or perhaps even gifts from the surreal. Those sort of strange, furry, and feathery, and sparkle snorted creatures that come to us from surreal times, from poems that exist in the sort of world of the surreal. Um, you know, I think from the very beginning, I felt like this moment is something that came out of genre writing. We've moved from that literary fiction book, novel of life, into, Station 11, something that is normally reserved for the genre bookshelf that, is a little bit within, it's sort of possible to imagine in our life, but we go, no, that couldn't happen. And so how we exist in that surreal space and still find joy is, you know, sort of what we're all dealing with right now. Um, so the first poem that I'm going to read is called My Apocalypse. Fitting. And it's by Ray Armentrout. It comes from her book Just Saying, which was published by Wesleyan Press. And this poem also came out in the Believer magazine. So I've put all the information in the like sub in the subtitles and the information of this video, so you can look this poem up and read it for yourself when you have the chance. It's called My Apocalypse. A woman writes to ask how far along I am with my apocalypse. What will you give me if I tell? An origami fish made from a bill? After the apocalypse, we will all be in a band. We will understand each other perfectly. It's all right and it doesn't matter. Let it stand for nothing. A weathered, fleshy bicyclist wearing bunny ears and a tie-dyed shirt says zoom as she coasts past. Okay, so Ray Armentrout's poems, what I love about them is how she kind of pulls these little pieces together, these fragments and images and moments, and you kind of go, how does this all stick together? But then it does in this sort of delightful way. And the gifts of this, I would say, are just sort of the visual humor of the bunny-eared bicyclist. We've all started, I don't know about in your neighborhood, but in my neighborhood people are getting a little kooky, and I've seen some definitely things on that level of weird going on as people kind of try to cope and find humor in a really difficult moment. One example would be, I saw a guy like out in front of a church doing exercises with a exercise band off of like a post. It just in front of the church in a completely non-residential area. So I don't know what that was about, but he looked like he was having a good time. Um, and then I love this. Yeah, after the apocalypse, we'll all be in a band. Just the sort of unity in that moment, but it's sort of fun, and we will understand each other perfectly. Will we? Maybe. There's sort of a double-handed joke going on right there. And then I think the other thing that I really like is there's sort of an equation which is easier to notice when you have the poem in front of you, but it's all right and it doesn't matter. Let it stand for nothing. Um, if you replace it with nothing, so it's like nothing's all right and nothing doesn't matter. I would say that's sort of like the perfect summary of where we're at. Nothing is quite all right, but at the same time, nothing doesn't matter. Everything matters. Your connections with your family, the things that may have been getting put aside in daily life, the daily life, those things really do matter and are moments of connection and health and mental health. Um, it sort of all flips around from normal life where you say it's all right and it doesn't matter. So I love that equation in the poem. All right, my next poem is by Daniele Antigua, and I met her very briefly as a potential classmate when I was in Boston. Her book, Ugly Music, is coming out, or just came out rather, by Yes Yes Books. Unfortunately, I don't have it here, so I'm reading a poem that was also published in Pigeon Poems. Once again, the information will be on the side, or Pigeon Pages. There we go. And here it is. Diary entry 12, Lazarus or Resurrection. It was 2 days after my 20th birthday when a corpse rose to greet me from the confines of the basement. He was a secret friend, like cookies and a beer. Once I read him a book about a boy who bribed girls in dresses to climb coconut trees. Once I read him a Sears catalog and we pretended to own a new mattress. I thought it could be a cure to perform comfortable flesh. Until this, I hadn't touched a dead body. Until this, I always worried about the mess, what it meant to outgrow one's familiar contents. And I know there is a song about the wind and a candle. And I'd like to think of air as an accident in all the right places. I'd like to think of my mouth as its window. So, of course, there's a lot of sort of absurdist, surreal things going on in this poem with, becoming friends with this corpse from the basement. I think it's kind of delightful, but also there's, it's sort of this image that also connects to pain that's going on. Why is this person spending their time with a corpse in the basement, and that feeling about the mess of death and what it means to outgrow one's familiar contents. But at the same time, that kind of lining up along that intensity and loss in there are these gifts and moments that we get in the poem. Like reading the Sears catalog with the corpse, I think is a great moment. But also, and the beers, yeah, drinking beers and eating cookies. I like that sort of funny time. But I'd like to think of air as an accident in all the right places. I'd like to think of my mouth as its window, and just sort of this accidental blessing that we have to be alive, to be here, and the air coming in through the window of our mouth. You know, the sort of the light that we experience coming out from the window is spring coming, being being us, being our mouths in the air, venturing in. I love that moment in the poem. And it's sort of the gift of everything else absurd that's going on in there. Definitely. All right. And for my last poem, so as you may know from other times watching this, my poems can be found in The Evolution of Parasites, published by Sibling Rivalry Press. And this poem, The Bubble, originally appeared in the Offing magazine, another great literary spot to check out while you have some extra time. This is called The Bubble. The ants in the garden won't let me join their feast of leaves, their perfect dance along a smear of bug sacks from leaf to home, where they spit up underground a gray pea mash and mold orbs of winter grub, spindly legs pirouetting in unison. I pour buckets of dishwater and laundry soap down their hidey hole. Take that for not taking me. At night, I chew through all my books and vomit an orb so big I can step inside. In the yard, the Milky Way is bright enough to scare me, a white scar in the sky, as I roll my ball of old chewed up words, passing cherimoyas unpicked and dripping like wet canaries, the motorcyclists who call out to my curbs, and the fuzzy voices of dinner talk or pillow talk falling from stucco cottages. When the wind is right, I twist north, plugging all the holes with my own hands, my own jaw, until I'm carried away, leaving behind a well-swept road. So I think the gift of this poem, in addition to some, I miss cherimoyas growing near me. Those are the ice cream fruit. I miss those much in New England. But I would say in this poem, the speaker is a little stuck, and they're sort of imitating the ants, and they're using that sort of imagined ability to make the orbs as a way to kind of chew themselves out of sadness, of stuckness, of a difficult time, and flying away in this orb made of poem vomit, um, both disgusting and delightful. Um, and now in this time where our movement is restricted, yeah, what are the things that kind of carry us up and away and give us those moments of freedom? I hope you find them as often and as needed, as often as possible and as needed. Um, so stay safe, stay sane, and good night. Bye.